And we have very cold temperatures heading out the door. Temperatures in the teens and 20s, but the wind chill makes it feel even colder. We'll talk about this and the road conditions too coming up.
And as we're tracking road conditions, we do want to give you a live look through the WRAL storm tracker. Folks, I'm telling you, significant improvement on the main roads. But we're going to talk to you a little bit about some of the slick and icy spots on some of those secondary roads. Plus, school day changes. Many students in our area will not be in class for another day. We'll talk a little bit about how your child's day will be shifted. Thanks so much for joining us this Tuesday morning on WRAL News. I'm Chris Levingston. It is Tuesday, right? I feel like things kind of blurred together the last couple of days, Elizabeth. You've been talking a little bit about that next weather system coming in. But first, let's talk about this cold weather advisory.
Chris, I felt the same way yesterday. I was like, what day is it? But yes, today is the day we're dealing with cold weather. A cold weather advisory this morning up until around 10 a.m. We see temperatures in the teens, wind chills are in the single digits. So expect there to be refreezing. And of course, you saw we have Storm Tracker out showing you what things look like. We've got that cold weather advisory. And yes, we will start to answer the questions as we can about what looks like another storm for the weekend. Here's a look at temperatures and wind chill. Wind chills on the right, so it feels like 9 in Durham and Raleigh. It feels like 7 in Southern Pines. Our temperatures are in the teens and 20s. Feels like 15 in Fayetteville and 12 in Goldsboro. So it's just a very cold start out there this morning. Here's a good sign. This is a look from our Jimmy V camera down Fayetteville Street. A lot of the streets do look like that. But again, as Chris said just a minute ago, it's the side streets. It's some of the ramps, neighborhood roads. 18 is our temperature. We have a west wind at 7 miles per hour, so it's a little bit breezy. This is a look at your travel timeline. Expect it to be medium impact this morning until the sun comes back up, and then we're pretty good through the afternoon. That sunshine really did a good job on everything. But we're just not going to see much of a warm up. Our temperatures only climb into the upper 30s for this afternoon, and cold weather sticks around all week and potentially, could help to bring us another storm over the weekend. We'll look at that in a bit.
Sounds great, Elizabeth. Thank you. Folks, as we talked about, there are some icy patches on many roads this morning. And as we are facing frigid temperatures after that weekend's winter weather, this is something you should keep in mind. Let's go ahead and bring in WRAL's Kelsey Coffey. She's in the WRAL Storm Tracker, second day in the row. Kelsey, you're kind of looking around those roads. Again, those main roads, not too bad. It's those secondary roads we have to keep an eye on.
Yes, Chris, that's exactly what we have to monitor today. So we'll go ahead and give you a live look now at some roads here in Cary. As far as just our morning drive thus far, we've noticed just a couple of icy patches here and there. Not too much for you to worry about on those main roads like Walnut Street that we've passed in Cary this morning. You may be able to see on the sidewalks here just a mix of all of that precipitation that fell earlier this week, and those plows have already come through and taken care of that. So just be careful if you have to head out this morning because, again, we're seeing just a couple of icy patches. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Cary.
Hey, just a heads up, parents. Many students here locally will not be in the classroom again this morning, and that includes students in Wake County. Nearly all schools in the area will be remote learning today. They are represented right here on your screen in green. WRAL's Heidi Kirk is in downtown Raleigh to talk more about that this morning. Heidi, for Wake County, this is the first remote learning day in years.
Chris, that's right. And from what we're seeing, there is definitely good reason for it. This is what some of the sidewalks and secondary roads look like here in Wake County. You may not think it's icy, but I mean, this is so slick. In fact, I was just telling my photographer, make sure you stand on the pavement here because it's really slick out on the ice. Now, of course, when it comes to those virtual or remote learning days, it's not going to look like it looked during the pandemic. Rather than going to a Zoom meeting or a Teams call, instead, the students are going to pick up those paper packets, work on those, or complete their assignments online via Canvas, and the teachers will take attendance based on those packets completion. Now, we talked to some parents about that, and it's kind of a mixed bag of reaction here, but most of them are more than willing to take the precaution.
Yeah, I don't think there's a decision that Wake County could make that everybody's going to love. I mean, our county is huge. I mean, Cary, our roads are kind of okay. North of here, it may not be okay. So it's either do a remote day, you take a snow day, you have to make it up. You're never going to make everybody happy.
So when will students be back in the classroom in Wake County? That is a question we've yet to be able to answer. We've asked the district, and we're still waiting to hear back. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in downtown Raleigh.
We're also checking road conditions in Durham County. Some parts of Durham dealt with slick conditions yesterday, and that includes this part right here of I-85. This is where a truck jackknifed. You can see it right there. That sunlight, though, helped melt the sleet and ice, but areas that don't get a lot of sunlight could still be dangerous today.
The alleyway right beside our building right now has a patch of ice at the bottom of it that I think is already starting to cool back off and harden. It's going to be treacherous. Driving around town, I hit several spots at the top of intersections that you need to slow down before getting to it.
Teams in Durham were focused on clearing and treating main roads yesterday, and they'll get back to work this morning to begin clearing the secondary roads. Now, over in Johnston County, DOT says road teams used more than 130 gallons of brine before and during the storm. They also used 600 tons of salt as the ice storm moved in. DOT leadership urges drivers to be cautious while driving this morning. The state attorney general's office is encouraging brides who did business with a Raleigh photographer to file complaints. Last week, WRAL's Five on Your Side talked with more than 30 brides about this. They say they paid Holly Christina Photography more than $300,000 collectively, but they never received their photos. Court records show the company's co-owner and Holly Christina's husband, Christopher Askew, was arrested on an assault charge involving his wife. The company has since closed, and now the North Carolina Attorney General's office says that it saw our reporting and it's urging affected brides to file a complaint. A Durham principal who was indicted last week is planning to resign this week. Durham Public Schools says that Tanya Wright is resigning from Eno Valley Elementary, and her resignation goes into effect this Saturday. Wright was indicted last week along with 2 school system administrators, and she is accused of obstructing a police investigation into an incident at her school. This was back in November 2024. In that case, a child with autism was found tied to a chair. Wright has not responded to WRAL's request for comment, and she's been suspended from that school since December 19th. Jury deliberations in the Isaiah Ross trial have been pushed back because of the weekend ice storm, and court is shut down today for the second day in a row. Jurors will return tomorrow, though, and they are going to decide 2 things. The first is whether Ross is responsible for killing Lyric Woods, and they'll also decide if they support Ross's claim of killing Devin Clark in self-defense. The jury has the option of finding him guilty of first or second degree murder or voluntary manslaughter, and you can count on WRAL to bring you updates for that trial. The Buddhist monks on their walk for peace have just over 200 miles left on their 2,300-mile journey, and this morning they're going to leave to Warrington. They stopped last night in Lewisburg, and the town's fire chief gave one of the monks a department badge for them to carry with them on their journey. The monks say that they will not be sharing their lunch and resting stop locations, though. They say because of the cold temperatures, they just want everyone to stay home and stay safe and warm. They're actually headed to Washington, D.C., and we have been watching them as they continue on their journey. And so they are expected to get there in a couple of weeks. And as they approach, we'll keep you updated on their journey here on WRAL, but we'll also share updates on WRAL.com and our social media platforms. New developments in Minnesota as Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino and some of his agents are expected to leave Minneapolis today. The border czar Tom Homan is now expected to head to Minnesota instead. Bovino has become a bit of a prominent figure in Homeland Security's immigration crackdown. He has recently drawn scrutiny after 2 fatal shootings involving federal agents, most recently involving ICU nurse Alex Preddy. Homeland Security says that Preddy approached officers with a handgun as they were conducting an operation, and they say the shooting was in self-defense, but there are people who dispute that claim because footage shows Preddy with a phone in his hand as agents wrestled him to the ground. And video also appears to show a gun being removed from his wristband before the shooting happened. Now, Preddy was a licensed gun owner, according to reports. And people gathered outside Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar's office yesterday to protest a bill that would increase funding for DHS. Senate Democrats, including Klobuchar, said they would not vote to pass a $64 billion bill, I should say. They're asking Republicans to remove it from a broader package to fund other government programs through September 30th. Meanwhile, the current funding is set to expire after midnight on Friday. And today, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is headed to Capitol Hill. Lawmakers will question her about ICE enforcement. They expect questions to focus heavily on enforcement tactics, and this is because of those 2 recent fatal shootings I was talking about. North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis and other Republicans have called for an independent investigation into this latest shooting over the weekend. Secretary Noem is set to testify before a Senate committee on March 3rd. Duke men's basketball stays perfect in the ACC after dominating Louisville. The Blue Devils held the Cardinals to just 28 points in the first half. Blue Devils went on to beat the Cardinals 83-52, and Duke's next game is at Virginia Tech on Saturday. And tonight, NC State is hosting Syracuse, and tip-off for that game at Lenovo Center is at 7 p.m. Checking your time this morning, 4:40, plane crash investigation. 6 people dead in Maine after a private jet went down during takeoff. What investigators believe may have been the cause. And walking through the challenge, how one family's birthing plans changed because of the weekend's winter weather. And we do want to give you a live look at Chapel Hill this morning. Significant improvement on the roads there compared to this time yesterday. It's one of the coldest mornings of the season, and folks, there's more to come. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is going to show you how many cold mornings we can expect this week.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
It is 4:43 on this very cold start this morning. Skies are clear, so it's going to be another beautiful day like it was yesterday. I enjoyed a little walk out there in that crisp air yesterday. That sunshine did a nice number on the roads, especially roads that were already starting to clear. Of course, the sunshine on the black pavement there really will help to melt things. But there were shady spots, of course, and some areas just didn't see quite as much clearing. But Chapel Hill is looking good. Here's the thing that'll happen today. The roads are fine and you're, going at normal speed. And then all of a sudden there's a shady spot and people start spinning out. So you still have to be on the cautious side today and make sure that you have lots of layers on. 18 in Lewisburg, it's 18 in Tarboro, 19 in Irwin, and 17 in South Hill. And the wind chill is down into the single digits in some places. So exercise outside, I don't know. You may just have to, come up with a workout at home. Some of the gyms have been closed too, I know, because of the weather. So do what you can out there. Dog walking forecast, temperatures are in the teens this morning, and this afternoon we climb into the upper 30s. I'll show you how long these cold temperatures will be with us coming up.
And thank you, Elizabeth. Bangor International Airport in Maine is closed because a plane carrying 6 people crashed over the weekend. Authorities say all people aboard died, and that crash happened Sunday when a private business jet attempted to take off during the winter storm up there. Weather may have played a role, and the NTSB and FAA say they will also investigate a mechanical error and pilot error with this. Today, a trial begins for TikTok, Meta, and YouTube. They're going to be in court to address their influence on young people. A mother and her daughter sued the companies. She accuses them of having harmful features that damages teen mental health. The companies say they have addressed those concerns with new safety policies, and there are more than 1,000 other similar cases. This winter weather is causing natural gas prices to skyrocket. Folks, they have risen about 63% since last week. That's the most since December. The extreme cold is not only driving up demand, though. It could disrupt gas flow through pipelines and deplete stockpiles. The demand could also derail production, which is at key hubs across the country. A Durham City County celebration honoring Martin Luther King Jr. will not happen today as planned. Event organizers postponed because of the cold weather conditions. The event will now happen February 24th. NC Central Chancellor Kerry Dixon will deliver the keynote address, and that event will be free and open to the public. Well, the winter storm forced a Charlotte couple expecting a baby to kind of change their plans. Shelby Montez was set to give birth on Sunday, but because of the icy conditions on the road, she and her husband, David, did not want to risk their safety. So instead of driving, they booked a hotel less than a mile from the hospital and then walked there.
It's been easy because ultimately we want to prioritize her safety and the safety of the baby. So whatever we needed to do to be able to get to the hospital today is what we did.
The couple said they are considering naming the baby Fern. That's the name the Weather Channel gave to the storm there. And one of the things that we've been trying to do here is keep our eye on the road situation out there. Obviously, the main roads are the ones that seem to have had significant clearing, but it's those side roads that have some work that still need to be done. We want to go out right now to WRAL's Ali Kadlabar. She is looking at the road conditions where they are currently. How are they right there where you are, Ali?
Yeah, Chris, we are just approaching that Wake County, Johnston County border. We've been on US 70 Business East and Buffalo Road in Johnston County quite a bit throughout the morning, and we have seen the roads look pretty clear. The shoulders we're seeing are have some slick spots. There are some slick spots on the road as well, and we've seen in neighborhoods there have been some icy spots as well. In driveways, we've seen some icy spots. Anything that you went to bed, you saw a puddle or a wet spot, you're waking up and you're going to see that it turned to ice this morning. Of course, we are on our way to Zebulon right now, keeping track of those roads. We're going to be out here throughout the morning. Reporting live in Wake County, Ali Kadlabar, WRAL News.
Tell you what, I take fault of news coming in, Elizabeth. It was so nice to see those main roads have a lot of work on them. Again, those secondary roads, a big concern. And as the sun comes up, yes, but those shady parts, those are the ones that if there's still some, I don't know, wet roads on there, ice could still build up.
It could. And the thing about a day like today is everything's going to look fine until it doesn't. And there's just going to be one little patch that trips up some people. And you may already be going, like 35, 40 miles an hour when that happens. So just, keep that in the back of your mind. Cold weather advisory. Also, think about what you're wearing today. Okay, I'm wearing a dress, and you can see I don't have any tights on under it, but I have some big fluffy fleece pants that I wore under my dress coming in this morning. You may need to do something like that. I've lived in Colorado, I've lived in Washington State, and you learn some tricks like that. It looks goofy, but who cares? It's important to stay warm. This is a look at our Jimmy V camera down Fayetteville Street. It looks all clear right now. It's 18, and we have a west wind at 7 miles per hour. It is also going to be a breezy day for us today. Winds will be at about 5 to 10, but we'll have gusts this afternoon up to 20, and that's really going to make that wind chill feel cold. Right now, it feels like 9 in Durham and Raleigh, 10 in Rocky Mount, 7 in Southern Pines, and our temperatures are in the teens, and they're going to stay in the teens for a while. This is a look at our hour-by-hour wind chill. It'll feel like 10 at 8 a.m. It'll feel like 23 at lunchtime, so we're just not getting a break today. And, of course, we're not looking at warmer temperatures really very much at all this week. So we talk about wind chill. What does that mean? If the wind is calm, you can see this outline of red around our cute little guy there. So your skin actually emits some heat, and if it's not windy, it helps to insulate your skin. Well, if it's windy, it removes that layer of heat that's sitting just above your skin, and it feels colder than it really is. So that's why that wind really feels biting. Our normal low is 32. We're nowhere close to that this week. Tomorrow and Thursday around 20, and then we're back into the teens as we get into the weekend. Highs very cold as well. Normal high is 52. Notice that high on Saturday of 28 degrees. That can make for some good sledding if we had 28 degrees. Charlotte sitting at 16 right now. And we had some great video from Charlotte from the sledders yesterday. I know we had sledders all across our area. And of course, it was a lot of fun to see everybody out there sledding. Hopefully we'll have that sledding video for you coming up a little later. Our winter weather tracker gives us possible for Saturday and Sunday for our next potential storm. If we see that, so far the models are showing a nearby system that could bring us some wintry precipitation. It's too early to know how much yet, but we'll continue to watch it. It certainly looks like we're in the possible zone for 1 to 3 inches. But in terms of what happens, if you remember about this time last week, the models were showing a decent amount of snow, and it ended up mostly with sleet and a lot of freezing rain. So we have our eye on it. If you have weekend plans, you need to start thinking about it. Make sure you're checking in with us, and we'll talk a little bit more about the different pattern scenarios coming up.
I know a lot of people will be watching for that. Thank you, Elizabeth. Your time is 4:51, honoring bravery and creativity. Stephen Colbert is being awarded for his work. That and more in entertainment news just a bit. Plus, Ye's regrets why the rapper is apologizing to his fans just ahead of his new album release. Stephen Colbert is being honored by the Writers Guild, and a new documentary takes a rare look at the Warsaw Ghetto during World War II. Here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Minute.
Be grateful for all of it.
Stephen Colbert says he's grateful for a lot of things, including an upcoming honor from the Writers Guild of America. The late-night host is to receive the Guild's Walter Bernstein Award, given to a member who has demonstrated with creativity, grace, and bravery a willingness to confront social injustice in the face of adversity. CBS canceled Colbert's award-winning show shortly after the host criticized parent company Paramount Global's settlement with President Trump.
Oh my gosh.
One battle after another, co-star Chase Infinity is headed to the small screen. Her show, The Testaments, a spin-off series from The Handmaid's Tale, is set to debut April 8th on Hulu. Ann Dowd returns as Aunt Lydia, running a preparatory school for future wives in Gilead.
Ja nie wierzyłem, że ten negatyw istnieje.
To są właściwie jedyne zdjęcia wykonane w getcie warszawskim podczas powstania, które nie zostały zrobione przez Niemców.
33 Photos from the Ghetto is a rare look at one of World War II's darkest moments, the brutal Nazi response to the 1943 Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. A Polish firefighter took the photos, which his son found 80 years later. The documentary is now streaming on HBO Max. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Ye, formerly known as Kanye, is apologizing for his behaviors in the last few years. The rapper published a letter in the Wall Street Journal called "To Those I've Hurt." He says he lost touch with reality and did things he regrets. And in that letter, Ye apologized for his anti-Semitic remarks and to the black community for letting them down. Ye has bipolar disorder, which he says he is now treating with medicine, and he is having some healthy living and therapy as well. But I should also mention that his apology was made ahead of his new album. Award season is in full swings. The Globes, the Oscars, they've already passed, but the Grammy Awards return this Sunday. But the show honoring Broadway's best won't happen until later this year. The 2026 Tony Awards are set for June 7th. The nominees for those awards won't be announced until May, but no word just yet on who will host the night. Ahead at 5 o'clock, we are watching for icy spots out in the roads as we are giving you a live look right now through the WRAL Storm Tracker. Folks, there are some places where there's some slick spots. We'll tell you where you need to look for as you hop in the car. And Remote Learning Day. Most students in our area will learn remote today. We'll talk about what pushed the district to make that decision.